From the Labor Day holiday. All right, so we'll get this meeting called to order, this regular meeting of the Simpson County Fiscal Court. We're honored today to have with us Chris Patterson, the new pastor at the First United Methodist Church. I first met Mr. Patterson, I believe, at our parade on July 4th. And he came walking across the courthouse lawn, introduced himself to me, and as I understand it, you've been around meeting several folks in Franklin and Simpson County. We're glad to have you with us this morning. We'll let you come up. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about what's going on at the church. I also understand that we should thank you because I've had several of your members tell me since Sunday that we were mentioned from the pulpit that you would like your congregation to pray for us, and we're very thankful for that. But come up, tell us a little bit about yourself, and Mr. Patterson will open us with a word of prayer, and then we'll have the pledge to the flag.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Chris Patterson. I'm a native of Bowling Green, but I have Simpson County roots. My mother graduated from Simpson County High School in 1960, so I found her high school photo the other day down here in the archive, the historical building. So I feel like I've come home. Actually, I am home in a sense because I served here in 1999 as the associate pastor. They could only handle me for 1 year, and they sent me on. But like Motel 6, I told them if they would leave the light on, I'd come back. And God blessed me enough to be able to come back to this location. And good things are happening in First United Methodist Church. And I'm a pastor, and we're becoming a church that believes in being open to the community. And so we want to be a community partner. And we do pray for you guys constantly and always. And we will always pray for our fiscal court, our county judge, whoever that might be. And we'll pray that God will direct you all always. The church is going to be celebrating 200 years next year, established in 1820. So we're looking forward to. We know the county's just come through, or getting through the bicentennial, and you all will be handing the reins off to the city. So we'll be celebrating with the city. We're a little behind you guys, but we understand that we're not as fast and as progressive as the fiscal court that way. So with that being said, let us pray together. God, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for the day off yesterday for many of us, knowing that some didn't get the day off. So for that, God, we give you thanks for our first responders, men and women who serve us when we are trying to relax. And I pray today, God, you bless this community. Keep it safe. We pray today for the blessings to fall upon our fiscal court, upon our county judge and these magistrates as they deliberate and talk and discuss the matters of this county. We thank you that we get to be great and wonderful citizens of this community. Lord, I pray that we'll always think first of others before we think of ourselves. That's well within your will. And that this community will grow and prosper because not what we have done, but what you have done through us. So blessings upon this day, blessings upon the rest of this day and the rest of this month and everything that we'll do because of you. It's in your name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Reverend Patterson, thank you. You're not obligated to stay, but you're very welcome to stay.
Over there. I gotta go back to work.
Okay. All right. Let me swap glasses, gentlemen. Public comment. Do we have anyone from the public that is here to address us today?
Making sure.
All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to regular business. Gentlemen, if you had the opportunity to review the minutes from our August 20th fiscal court meeting, we just need a motion and a second to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion by Myra and a second by Nate.
Hiram Thurman,
Yes.
Nathaniel County,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Mason Martin.
Yes. All right, gentlemen, next on the agenda is the first reading of a revised ordinance number 220.206, the transient room tax. I'm going to deal with these in two different,
May I address some of that since I want to drafted these?
yeah, let me get wrapped up here what I'm going to say, and we'll turn to
Sorry,
those.
I'll hush up.
What we have, the attorney will enlighten us on what is in this, but if y'all recall, some time back, had a discussion about a collection of a 4% or just allowing the tourism to collect that tax itself and handle all of it, so it doesn't even involve our office. And we agreed, if y'all recall, I think we all agreed to just approach it that way. And the attorney has an ordinance prepared as such that we'll deal with separately from this first reading. And that ordinance basically, it doesn't change the amount of tax collected. It doesn't change anything at all except for the fact that the Tourism Commission would collect that tax and they would be responsible if someone wasn't paying. They would be the one responsible for trying to get those collections and so on. The attorney also said that the cleanest thing to do would make an entirely new ordinance, so we've got two ordinances. One would repeal the current transient room tax ordinance altogether, and then the next one would enact the ordinance to whereby the Tourism Commission could collect. Of course, both ordinances would require a first and second reading to take effect.
All right, but basically what's going on, thank you, Judge, I first thought, well, maybe we just need to amend this ordinance, the current one, which is 920.26, and I realized trying to harmonize what we had with what we're trying to do is going to be more trouble and more confusing than it warranted. The simplest thing would be, and before I pursued this route, I ran it by the judge, and he agreed. It's just to completely repeal the existing transient room tax ordinance and have another one that basically does what you all are wanting to do, which is to enact a new transient room tax, same rate, same everything, except this time the Tourism Commission and its employees and agents will be the ones in charge of collecting it and dispersing it and kind of, for the most part, taking us out of it completely, other than making sure that we have access to their records and such on collections, and they're to report to us every so often, what's going on, their collections and so forth, so we're not completely left out of the loop in case someone says, do you know what they're doing? And that way you at least have some knowledge of what's going on. One last thing, and I'll be quiet. This is based on, in large part, on an ordinance I was provided from Pulaski County, and so it was not done by my friend Martin Hatfield, the current guy, but I'm sure one of his predecessors. And imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and I don't want to reinvent the wheel twice, and so I thought it would work nicely, and I ought to give credit to people who drafted the original one. So, Judge, on that, I think we're ready for answer any questions or eventually have first reading.
All right, so gentlemen, on either case, do you have a question? We're going to do the ordinances one at a time, and I will tell you which ordinance when we get ready to vote. But on either case, either the repealing of the current or enacting the one whereby the Tourism Commission collects the tax, are there any questions?
Does this change the amount of the room tax?
No, still 3%.
Does this allow them to set a different rate?
No.
No.
We set the rates.
We'll still set the rates, and we'll still have an annual audit of what's collected and what they've done with the money.
No. Not only that, they can't borrow or issue.
I seen that part in there, but then
But no, they don't have
make the rules.
They don't have the authority to, by statute, I think it's capped at 3%, so. So,
I think it's at the maximum of the
so I mean,
statute.
yeah, but even so, they don't have the authority to change the rate.
I just wanted to make sure they didn't decide, well, we need a tax on restaurants.
They're not a taxing district.
No, anything done like that would still come through the fiscal court.
Okay.
All right, if no other questions, what we will do is, I need a motion and a second to approve the first reading of ordinance number 220.206, which would repeal ordinance number 920.26, which is the current transient room tax ordinance.
So moved.
Got a motion by Meyer and a second by Scott.
Myron Thurman,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. So next, gentlemen, would be a motion and a second to approve the first reading of ordinance number 220.209, which is an ordinance that, it says an ordinance imposing a transient room tax. It's a tax already imposed. It's basically just transitioning the collection of such to the Tourism Commission. So I just need a motion and a second for that ordinance first reading.
Motion moves.
Motion by Nate, second by Myron.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Scott Poston. Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. Now, we'll have to advertise before we have second reading, and we will not be able to advertise and have that second reading at our September 17th meeting. I believe the first meeting in October is actually October 1st, I believe. That October comes in on a Tuesday.
And what would the judge, I think there were maybe some of you that are going to be out. We need to be sure that we're
Yeah.
going to have a quorum on that October 1st meeting.
If you know about
Or
that,
advertise.
Is that fall break?
fall breaks,
The next week.
next week is
Fall break is the next week. Well, as far as everyone know, is there anyone that knows absolutely they will not be here at the October 1st meeting?
I'm here.
You won't be?
I'll be here.
I'm always there.
I mean, if we'll have a quorum, we'll have a quorum.
I just wanted to establish that so I would know about the advertising.
Okay.
So October 1st will be the.
And both of you gentlemen voted for this ordinance, so if that's all we have on the agenda, I don't think you're opposed to passing it second reading. But I bring that out to make another point too. It will be hard for us to transition that collection in the month of October, since we won't officially have the ordinance in effect till October 1. So we'll notify the tourism that their collections will start with the November collection. Okay. Next on the agenda is to review and approve the second reading and passage of fiscal year 1920 budget amendment ordinance number 220.207. This is just the grant money that was extended to us for the sewer line project, the water line upgrade on Steel Road, and we just have to show that $1 million grant in our budget. So I need a motion and a second to approve the second reading of this budget amendment.
So much.
Second.
Marty made the motion, Nate seconded.
Marty Chandler,
Yes.
Nathaniel Downing,
Yes.
Scott Poston.
Yes.
Myron Thurman.
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. All right, gentlemen, next you would see on your portal the information provided by the Conservation District on their financial report and their annual report. We just need to acknowledge that we've received that. Does that take a vote to acknowledge it, or do we just shake our head and say,
I'll just make.
yes, we've got a copy and we've gotten it?
Yeah.
So we acknowledge that we've received that. Thank you, Michelle. All right, moving on to financial business. You've had an opportunity to review the budget transfers. We just need a motion and a second to approve those transfers.
So moved.
Motion by Myron. Second by Scott.
Brian Harmon.
Yes.
Scott Huston.
Yes.
Nathaniel Morgan.
Yes.
Martin Chandler.
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. Next on the agenda would be to approve the bills and claims. If you've had an opportunity to review those, we need a motion and a second to approve those bills and claims.
So moved.
Motion by Myron,
Second.
second by Nate.
Brian Harmon.
Yes.
Nathaniel Morgan.
Yes.
Martin Chandler.
Yes.
Scott Huston.
Yes.
Mason Barnes.
Yes. All right, moving on to reports. I have a few items that I want to bring up, a couple of things to discuss and a couple of things just to recognize. Sky Technical Center presented us with this little acrylic truck, being a partner on helping them with their training pad for the CDL training. It's a big gathering out there. They've done the ribbon cutting for the pad. So I thought that was pretty neat that they give everyone that had helped make that possible. And it's really a big program. I think they said there was nearly 90 people that's gone through that program already, and over 80 of them are employed driving or doing something with their CDL. So pretty big. Gentlemen, don't forget, we have a joint meeting with the city at noon today, right here at the courthouse. I think yesterday was a gentleman, and Lisa may know more about this than I do, but the gentleman posted on Facebook that he wanted to have a cleanup day at Drake's Creek. And so several folks, I'm not sure how many, showed up at the park around Drake's Creek and done a cleanup day, gathered up a lot of trash, gathered up a lot of tires. And actually WBKO was here and done a little news story on it. So if you get a chance, you can pull that news story up. Yeah, that was pretty neat. So I just want to say thank you. I think that young man's name is Zach Vincent.
No, Michael Gregory.
Michael Gregory.
And this is the Michael Gregory that's the barista at Black Sheep.
Okay.
He posted it on Facebook because he paddles a lot and just seeing all the trash and wanted to do something, and took it upon himself to do that. I think they had 25 people
Yeah.
show up, and the community came together and took in all the tires and the trash.
So I just want to say thank you to all those folks that showed up. That was really big. And the way the news story talked, the folks that were out there planning it, I think they plan to do another cleanup day. So that'd be great. Like I said, don't forget we have a noon joint meeting. Now, one thing I do want to talk about, you see on here, discuss Drake's Creek mile markers. There are a ton of people that's kayaking and boating and in the creek and on the creek. And I know Warren County has done this, and I talked with, Bob's not here today. And I don't want us to take action on this, but I want to talk about this and get y'all's thoughts on this. About putting mile markers. I think Warren County put them every quarter mile along the creek. So in the event of an emergency, you're having a better ability to respond. We have about 28.5 miles of Drake's Creek in Simpson County. If you were to put those markers every quarter of a mile, it would cost roughly $2,300 to have those markers and install. So I just wanted to throw that out there at y'all. I think it would be a good idea, especially with the number of people that are on the creek. I mean, anything could happen.
For what it's worth, I'm just saying from the lawyer standpoint and the guy who also deals in the court part of public safety, I think it'll be a big assistance to the first responders. So I'm in Drake's Creek, well, that takes whereabouts on Drake's Creek. Well, I think I'm such and such, and it may or may not be, and I'm just saying, makes a lot of difference on the highways. And just, I said, if nothing else, for first responders, we'll be able to get to somewhere a lot quicker if you have some kind of uniform means of navigating to where everybody is. Just think that may be, I mean, y'all's decision, but I would respectfully submit from the lawyer's standpoint, that's probably a wise investment. I'm not saying you have to do it today, but I'm just thinking that I would recommend that you do that.
While you're checking on that, has anything ever been done at the park as far as naming the roads at the park and addresses and stuff?
Not that I'm aware of.
That was an issue last year that was being talked about, and the year before too.
Naming the park road?
Yes.
Okay.
Because.
That would also help.
There's no way for them to respond except tell them to go to this baseball field or whatever, so.
Carter's taking notes there. We'll get it figured out.
No, that's
We have addressed it, the address one. And basically, these here things right here are in the list of things that we can cover.
Okay.
Basically, you can put an address point as a marker that will show up on the map from 911, where they use a little marker on Burns Creek that we have.
Right.
Matter of going out there with the UPS and getting the boat, mark it, download it into the map, it's done. Same thing with the roads out there, that park, where we can address it, plus address the which ball fields. If a kid gets hurt, we got like 4 or 5 ball fields out there. And they top the hill, they don't know which ball field to go to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we can address point those as well.
Okay, good. We'll, there you go. He says he can do it. We'll get on that.
Eric, did you have something to say?
Hang on just a second, Jailer. The approximate cost of these markers at a quarter mile is approximately $20. That's why I say it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $2,300. If there's enough interest from you guys, we can get the exact dollar amounts, we can check on it, bring the exact dollar amounts back and say, here's what it would cost us to do this in Simpson County, and have that at our next meeting.
Well, that's what I would need to know.
Okay.
You know, I mean, to know a price.
But I mean, I guess the point being, if we're thinking, well, $2,300, there's no way we're going to do it for that, then there's no need in even checking on it. But if that price point is something that you think, hey, if we're in that range, we're interested to see.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I like what Carl.
Okay, so we'll get some exact cost on signs and marker signs and getting them up. All right, I think, Michelle, it's good you're here because I think today we're looking at.
Yes, I do have a survey, not a survey, I do have a surveyor, and he has asked that you give him until October 1 to finish his research. He has gone and looked at deeds. He needs to look at some more deeds and do some research on easements. He said he wasn't positive that he could be finished by the 17th. So he asked that we give him until the 1st of October.
Try to get him here by the 17th.
Sir?
Try to get him here by the 17th.
I will do my best. I spoke with him yesterday morning, and that was what he asked me to bring that to you all and to allow him that time, but I will relay that message back to him. He said he's been to Jolene's office, but he needs more time up there.
What's the thoughts of the court?
I would like to see his survey. But September 17th, I think we should have it here.
I will relay that message to him, but this is the message he asked me to relay to the court.
Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree with what Myra's saying. I mean, it's just went on for
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
a long time. And this is not affecting just one person, it's affecting more than one.
You're right.
So we need to be able to make a decision pretty quick.
I will give him that message, thank you all.
Okay.
All right, so September 17th, with or without the survey, And here's the thing, we had a discussion, I had a discussion after our last meeting where we talked about this. I mean, essentially, under what we're looking at right now, it's county property, and anyone could cross that property. But I guess there's a question about ownership of that property. So that's why that we're going to have to decide what to do with what we truly believe to be county property. So, yeah, just with or without that survey, we're going to do something with that county property on September 17th.
Understood, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Chandler?
Yeah, got a question for Sam. At the last court meeting, when we talked about when y'all voted not to take a compensating rate, anything above compensating rate, does that not have to have a public hearing?
It will. We have a public hearing will be set up for the September 17th meeting.
Okay.
We didn't have time to advertise and do it at this meeting.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
The answer to your question is yes.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if you could vote to take that vote to do that other rate before you even had the public hearing.
No, you have to have,
Well, you do the first reading, but you can't have second reading and passage till after the public hearing.
basically you have to put people on notice you're looking to do something besides a compensating rate. Then you have the public hearing, let everybody air their opinions one way or the other.
Exactly. But the way it looked last meeting, it was just, that was the rate was set, because there was nothing said about public hearing, and there was nothing, said about anything else, so I wanted to clarify.
It's in the paper, it'll be in the paper this week and next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I don't really have anything else.
Mr. Downer?
Yes, I have a few things about the Franklin Parks and Recreation Department, some things that we went over and done. The Field 2 fences is about at the completion of its job now. And the musical playground equipment that was donated by Harmon, it has been installed in the larger playground park out there already.
Oh, I see it.
And the installation of the lights on the soccer field has been completed also. So we got lights on the soccer field.
Wonderful.
And the four-wheel drive Ford F-250 truck that we had ordered, it should be here by October, because it has been ordered already. And the registration for the Girls Softball League and the Pee Wee Baseball League and the Little League Baseball is being conducted now, and then the play will be started this month for all the leagues for fall ball. And the expected playground ordered by Miracle Recreation should be installed sometime in the first part of this month. That's to replace the one that was pretty much out of date and out of regs out there. And the registration for fall flag football ages 4 and 5, 6 and 8, and 9 and 10 will be conducted between the 3rd of September and the 13th. The play will begin October 14th out there. And that season will probably last about a month, from about the middle of October to about the middle of November, once it starts. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
On the first part, the field 2, that's baseball field 2,
Yes,
I didn't understand what was said.
that the fencing is near to be completed by now. It's almost completed.
Almost.
Yes,
Mr. Post? No, sir. Mr. Thurman?
Only one thing, farmers are harvesting corn, they're everywhere out on the highways. We got road construction going on, so everybody be aware of your surroundings.
Mr. Attorney?
Not today.
Not today. Jailer, I'm sorry, I didn't get back to you, and I apologize.
I'm gonna let it go, Judge. No,
Do you need to come up?
No, I just want to let the court know that our county numbers are up, overdose. We've got some issues there. Just want you to know what's going on. I sent everybody a text, letting you know what your numbers were. And I want to thank the sheriff for letting borrow a vehicle last week, because we didn't have enough vehicles to get everything done. He let us borrow one of these vehicles so we can make our necessary transports. So I just want to know what's going on.
What are the county numbers?
Well, come up and tell us so the public can hear this. We gotta get you on camera, Jay. Show you a good side this morning. Do what?
I said, I noticed you don't have no EV stuff.
Did you go to Walmart?
They didn't have anything.
Okay.
Expecting a black iron band at least.
Our county numbers are over double than what we're normally, actually what we budgeted for, what we're used to. We've got 65 in there right now. We had 68 over the weekend, and we've averaged 63.5 for the month. Gentlemen, that affects our budget terribly. It says that our law enforcement's out doing their jobs. But I just want you to know what's going on. Our numbers today are 303 max. Reason for that is when our county numbers go up, we have to ship out our state to stay under that federal guideline. And I'm not going to break that federal guideline. It's just, I feel like I put the county at liability if we do that. So I refuse to do that, and we're paying the price right now. As far financially, we're paying the price.
If I might, there's been, I'm on, of course, the part of the pipeline this goes through, and in recent months, we have had a spike in felony, people being charged with felonies coming through, being arrested and coming through district court. Also, the grand jury has been busy in indicting people, and it seems, I'm not a scientific, political science guy that can do surveys, but what I can tell, we have had a massive increase in methamphetamine arrests, and not just possession or trafficking, but also other things, what I call meth related, like thefts and burglaries and that thing, where they steal things to either buy meth or to get meth or to manufacture it. And so for a while meth kind of dropped off some, I guess, with opioids and some other stuff, and now that they're trying to plug that hole, people are going back to meth. And so that's where a lot of it's coming from. We've had a huge increase in meth and meth-related offenses, and I just see it through the court every week. It's just a lot.
So how long did it take to get these guys sentenced?
Well, we have our Commonwealth attorney, to his credit, is trying as best as he can, but it takes, probably a couple, 3 months to get indicted at best, and then depending on the case, because some of these defendants have, a good number of them, as the jailer will tell you, and the sheriff will tell you, will have more than one pending case. And so, the best case scenario is 3 to 6 months, but that's fast. Probably looking at a year or better. And that's if, everybody agrees. Now, if they want a trial, then that takes longer. And we have, I've talked about this before, we have, compared to other counties in the state, a real good pretrial release program.
Probably got one of the best in the state.
Yeah, exactly. But even with that, we have a lot of, and most of the folks who are staying in jail, they need to stay there. That's where they belong, for one reason or another. Protection of the public, for whatever reasons. There's one or two, it's like, if we don't keep them there, they are vanished like a will-o'-the-wisp. And they finally found somebody this weekend, they had to come see me about it, who had 7 active arrest warrants. And they finally found her. So my inclination, when they bring her over, is to let her sit there a while so we know where we can find her. So I'm just saying, we try to get them out, the ones we think won't jeopardize the safety of the public, and we'll come back to court. But there's just some that we just, in good conscience, we cannot agree to do that.
And if I may, county attorney, we talked, Commonwealth attorney, we talked, and we're trying every option to get them out or a different form of incarceration. We're doing all we can. And that's everybody working together. We're doing the best we can. It's just the storm has hit.
And for our reference, I just sit here, punch some numbers around. If our county numbers are, say, 25 to 30 greater than what we anticipated during the budgeting process, for every month that it's up 25 to 30, because if we get 30 more county inmates, that's 30 state inmates that have to go out the door. And so you're talking somewhere, depending on what that number actually is, 25 or 30, anywhere from $23,000 up to close to $30,000 a month.
You're spot on. You can gauge it. Every inmate is going to call, or if you're pulling in money, they're going to bring you in about $11,500 a year. That's for one inmate. That's for a year's time. So you can kind of gauge it with that. That's what we're losing.
Well, and that's just in dollars from the state. And that's not counting if we have medical expense or whatever else we have for the county inmates, whereas the state is covering those medical expenses for the state inmates.
We're doing the best we can. I just want you to know what's going on. And like I said, it's a storm that we have dodged for, 10, 11 years? We have been fortunate. This county has been very fortunate for 10, 11 years. And now it's happening.
Well, it's very difficult to gauge how many county inmates we're gonna have.
Right, and we've always budgeted on low numbers, 30. That's.
Well, it's kind of been the average though, hasn't it?
Right, that's been the average, and it's climbing, and I don't see any relief in sight.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Bell County houses 72 inmates, 78 inmates, give or take. They got over 300 in there right now, and they're all county. He's one of my friends. He cries blues to me a lot, and it's okay. That's what I'm told. Let him help him pacify it. So
Sounds like he's got something to cry about.
he does have something to cry about. Madison County's got 170 something inmates. They've got over 500. They've got 90 something county housing other counties that they're having to pay for. I mean, it's a mess right now. There's a lot of counties that are in serious trouble. I hope we're not going to be one of them also.
Thanks for the good news, Joe.
You're welcome. Y'all have a great day.
On that happy note.
Sheriff, you have anything to share with us today? I take that forward motion as a yes.
Normally I was going to say no report, but that's been a good conversation. Just a brief report from the sheriff. Yes, the citizens of Simpson County want people to go to jail when they're doing something serious. We don't arrest people for things that aren't serious. Simpson County is a good place to live, wonderful place to live. We don't have more of a problem than the surrounding counties around us. But right now, all the surrounding counties have a severe drug problem. If you actually get out and talk to your constituents, you'll find that out. I've made a comment in here before. You go back 8, 9 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago, we might find somebody injecting drugs once a week, where we come across somebody that has syringes in their vehicle. When you're injecting, that means you're a dire addict. You've been on a drug for a while, and you're getting close to bad. Now, 8, 9 times a week. And that's just the sheriff's office. We're coming across people that are injecting drugs. So got a bad drug problem. Our drug task force does a good job. Our young units are doing a good job at hitting it. But back in the old days when I grew up, you might have some people riding around with a little marijuana in their car. Now, what you're worried about is meth, heroin, the stuff that's going to take you under. So what Eric's seen at the jail is the result of good police work, both from Franklin PD, the Sheriff's Office, and the Drug Task Force. Make no mistake, I'll never apologize to anybody because we decide we need to take somebody to jail because we can save a little bit of money if we don't. If you actually want to know what makes somebody mad in Simpson County, find somebody in your barn stealing your stuff because they're stealing it to go pocket so they can go buy some more meth, and then try to explain to them why we don't need to put them in jail because it's going to be a burden on the county because we need a state inmate here. That's not against the jail. I'm just speaking in reality from the police force. I've had some conversations with people, but what I tell my officers when I'm educating them, you want to know what people want. They don't like their stuff stolen. This is America. Nobody like that. Want to feel like they're protected in their homes. They don't like their stuff stolen. They don't like people beating up on each other, and they don't like drugs. And that's what's going to end you up in jail. So everything else between the courts and the jails, when people get out, we have no control of that. But Sam and the jailer both hit dead on it. I mean, that's the thing. So if anybody has any questions on the Sheriff's Office, please come see me.
We're very appreciative of the job that the Simpson County Sheriff's Office does.
Thank you. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who arrest. We don't really want to have to arrest people. We prefer everything to be nice piece of time.
We've all, they are good about arresting being the last option, not the first. That's not always been the case, so my compliments.
Jolene, you have anything from the clerk's office?
No, just other than our delinquent tax sale and off about a hitch, and we are now in the process of collecting the new tax rates to get them to the vendors so we can get our county tax bill done.
You got to have those by September 27th, I believe is what the paper says.
So we already have 3 in, so
Okay.
we're working on it.
All right. Nelson, you have anything with the fire department? Bill, maintenance?
Nope.
Carter, P&Z? Bobby, road department?
You should start, see some paving started this week.
Okay. No need for executive session?
No.
Okay.
Not from me.
All I need is a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Nate, Scott seconded. Nate made the motion, Scott seconded.
Yes.
Yes.
Myron Herman,
Yes.
Brian Taylor,
Yes.
Nate Barnes,
Yes.